Find new music, add it to your set, play it at your show, everybody gets paid. That's the vision of Exibeat, kind of a platform that brings electronic music DJs and artists together and make music discovery and distribution easier for everyone. This is Sequence, a show where you can learn all about the latest music tech through the music that inspired it. Hi everyone, I'm joined here today by Boris Parasochka. He's the CEO and co-founder at Exibeat. Nice to have you, Boris.
Nice to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
Awesome. Can you tell us a bit more about what you're building? What is it and who is it for?
So as you mentioned, I am co-founder and CEO of Exibeat. I am DJ since I'm 16. I organized my own electronic music parties and events in the past. And we are building a community platform for discovery and distribution of electronic music. In the technical terms, it's a D2C marketplace. Creators and labels can upload their music and DJs can discover those electronic music and use it in their sets.
So I didn't ask you this before, but when I hear Exibeat, it sounds like an exhibition for beats, like a beat exhibition. Is that the idea behind it?
Yeah, this was the idea. We spent a lot of time trying to find the right name, and then I accidentally went to exhibition, and then it's popped up in my mind, and we wanted to have something connected to the beats and to the music itself.
I can imagine like an art gallery, the two-sided bit, so artists can go to kind of show their work, but then others can go to see their work and discover it. So I think that's a really good metaphor. Yeah. For anyone who's not aware of how things typically work within the scene, can you give us an idea of what DJs go through to kind of find music and get it into their sets, and what you think is wrong with that current process?
I would like to start a bit from the different side. There are a lot of technological changes happening at the moment in the music industry, like blockchain, with Web3, with AI in music production itself, and topics appearing like creators economy, how it works, how people get their music heard, how people distribute the music. The distributional part of the industry is staying kind of stable since probably the last 10-15 years. And it feels like, or maybe a lot of people think there is nothing to change or to improve in the industry. So we have, for example, Spotify or Deezer or any other streaming platform, and people think it's already enough, and you can find all the music out there. But in fact, it's not really the case, because musicians are struggling to get their music heard, especially in the electronic music where I am active and where we are building our platform. The industry is pretty much fragmented. It's in a lot of cases DIY. The pro rata streaming model and payments, they're not really fitting to the electronic music industry and not really bringing any income for the creators. And on the other hand, the consumers of the electronic music, like the main consumers, the DJs, they are searching for music. They are still buying the music. Not a lot of people know that DJs, in fact, still downloading music. They're searching for platforms where they can purchase music. And this is kind of still the unique thing about electronic music. DJ spent a lot of time searching for music on one hand, and it can be, for example, on SoundCloud or on Spotify, on Instagram, so the music discovery process itself. And then they still need to go to some other place to purchase music, because you're not able to buy music on SoundCloud, for instance. So you can imagine like the user journey is happening on several platforms. There are some DJs using one platform, now they're using another one. And what we are trying to do, we want to fix the broken processes and DIY processes, and also bring the whole user journey and the whole discovery process on one place, and help the creators be more productive, have more personalized recommendations, also putting focus not on making mainstream artists even bigger, but helping those who are really struggling, on the other hand, just to get the first listeners and basically give the stage to them.
So you kind of have discovery on one side and then distribution on the other, and these are split across lots of different platforms, not to mention algorithms are probably less friendly towards particular types of genre or particular types of artists, and you're trying to bring these together into a kind of unified experience.
Exactly. It's like a big vision. We want to create an ecosystem for the electronic music community.
So I'm curious about your thoughts on how you're approaching this concept of experience on the platform, specifically with regards to DJ culture and where you want to take things with Exibeat. And just to kind of give some more context, like you, I actually started DJing at 16. I was kind of into turntablism and hip hop, but I spent a lot of time at record shops and, crate digging, looking for beats and samples and white labels and stuff like that. And that whole process is like an experience in itself. There is joy in discovering something new and that kind of competitive aspect as well of, trying to get something that other people don't have. In your opinion, and obviously this is not a question about, hey, the good old days, versus today, what does the future look like, or what does your version of that experience look like with Exibeat and with this platform?
I think it should make just more fun searching for music and discovering something new that you never heard or could imagine existing. For example, as a DJ, if I'm searching for electronic music, I'm happy like a kid if I found some track that was not seen by anybody before, and I was like, wow, it's a treasure. And if you are able to find some music from completely different continent and play this music and then hear or read the feedback from the artists coming from some suburbs in Brazil, and super excited that some guy in Europe played his or her track, it's really empowering, and it feels really cool. And we want to create those experiences to help some new genres to be discovered, some new artists to be discovered, because the whole discovery process is just focused in the most of the cases on the platforms like Spotify or SoundCloud, to just pushing those who already having hundreds of thousands views. And this is not the way how we see it, how we want to build our platform. In terms of Exibeat, we are really reflecting how can we create discovery approaches that we showcase those people who don't have views at all, for example.
It kind of becomes a secret weapon for DJs, because if you're going to the same places, Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube and stuff, yes, you might discover something new, but if you're going to the same place as everyone else, you're probably getting the same track, so you can really find something very interesting and new.
Or helping you to discover music if you're preparing for some specific occasion, some specific gig or some specific mix, and you say, for example, I'm thinking of this artist, I want to go in this direction. The platform should help you to find those artists who are fitting to your request, and again showcasing those who might not been heard before. When we reflected what we want to change in the industry, for us the most important was to help the creators to generate revenue and make a living out of their music. Streaming is not working, so we want to implement user-centric streaming. Then the huge thing that is broken in the electronic music industry, the live events, the whole royalties payments via royalty collecting societies, the whole system is not working. And we have, for example, now an idea how we can fix this process. If we are able to fix it, it means we can generate revenue for the creators, and that they are paid not just for sales itself, but also paid for that their music is used in the live events.
I love the ambition of the bigger vision towards this almost democratization of music discoverability and revenue sharing. That's a really cool vision for the future.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so let's move on to your track selection. The first one up is actually a really good opener. I can kind of see your DJ brain working with the first track here. This one is Let's Go by Unticipated Soundz out of Durban, South Africa. Tell us why you chose this track.
So when we started to work on Exibeat, we were trying, as I mentioned, to try to understand the problems and the pain points that different user groups are facing, like DJs, labels, and producers, but also trying to understand if there is some differences between different regions and different countries. So we conducted 50 interviews with DJs, labels, and producers. We focus mostly on Europe because this is the market we understand the most, but we also try to understand how the dynamics and pain points are changing if you're going to different regions. If you take a look to my music collection, you discover that I have tracks probably from the whole world. Like I have tracks from Taiwan, Japan, Vietnam, Australia, Arabic countries. I have a lot of tracks coming from Africa, from South America, like Kuduro, like Afrobeats. A few years ago, I discovered this music genre that calls Gqom, that is coming and originating from South Africa, specifically from the city Durban. The genre was created, I think, beginning of 2010, something like this, coming from a few bands, and one of them is Unticipated Soundz. And when we were doing the interviews, I reached out to them and asked if they would love to do the interview, and it was one of the most inspiring interviews we made because I saw like how broken is the industry there and how hardly this guy's trying to be heard and to be discovered and telling their stories coming from the region. And they released at that point a new album, and one of these tracks is coming from this album, and this track is Let's Go. And this was kind of the item for us on the beginning of the Exibeat journey that motivated us like to do what we are doing and to understand why it's such important thing.
I'm curious, how did you discover this band specifically in the first place? You know, what did you go through, or how did it come to you, if you can remember?
It's a good question. I mean, I love to go to different parties and to different events. I was traveling time to time to Berlin to go to different events, and one of them was 100 party organized by Nico Adamaka. Nico is huge selector. He has so amazing music taste, and those parties are focused on representing African music creators. And I think I just went to one of the parties and just discovered some of the guys, and then just deep dive in this music genre.
One of the classic ways hearing new stuff is at the parties, you kind of have DJs as tastemakers, which I think is kind of an interesting thing to think of through the community itself. You know, how does an artist like Unticipated Soundz or anyone else from, say, Durban, or, you know, anyone on the scene, how would their experience be different if they had Exibeat? You know, how would that change how they were found?
If you think in terms of representation of different genres, genre selection on the platform can influence a lot what is coming on the end, like how the final product could look like, or how the platform would look like, and which people would use it and how they would use the platform. We created the list of the music genres we were focused on, and we know that it's going to change with the time because the genres are changing. There are around, I think, there are 6,000 music genres existing, and each time there are new ones coming, new communities are creating their own music genre. And I think if we focus on the Gqom and Unticipated Soundz, they would just have the more chances to be discovered because we would not focus on representing and pushing mainstream. Like if you take a look how the music discovery looked like on the existing platforms, you're not really able to jump in the different regions. You're not really able to say, I would like to find some sound from South Africa. And this is something that you can directly do on our platform. This is kind of the new ways.
I think you just blew my mind because you're talking global music, but also hyper-local at the same time. And this kind of micro-genres, but also the different mix of everything. I think that's a great way to discover new music and influence each other. I would bet that new genres would come from that itself. You know, when people say, oh, you mix these two things together and you get whatever the next thing is, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so thanks for that. We're going to move on to the second track, which is Monolake Index from 1997. Tell us more about this.
A few months after, when we were working on Exibeat with my co-founder Alicia, we decided to move for a couple of months to Morocco. We are living in Germany, but we decided to go to Morocco, first of all, because of the weather, obviously, to spend winters in Germany is not the most pleasant thing you could have. But the second thing also to be able to really focus on the platform, to cut off the social connections, cut off the everything, the noise of media and news and friends and so on. And some of the artists are really practicing this kind of thing when they want to focus on the album or some release. They just cut off everything, go in some village or in some in nowhere, and just spend to be able to focus on the product or music. And I was I'm listening to electronic music all the time. It helps me to focus. And I don't remember how exactly I came to specifically Monolake at this point of time. I think I was listening to there is an artist called Identified Patient coming from Netherlands, and I got probably suggested Monolake based on Identified Patient. And I was doing a break, in one of the days in Marrakesh. We were living close to the Medina. And I went out for a walk to just go through the market. And I put this track, and it felt like in a film, because this track is so amazing. It's super trippy. It's minimalistic, and having this experience walking through the stands and markets and people are moving around, it felt really like in a film. There is not some specific motivational moment that it brings me, but it connected me to this experience that we had in Morocco, and to the whole journey that we are kind of going through. And probably not a lot of people know about Monolake, but Monolake is actually a super important figure in the music itself, because Monolake, it's in the past it was two guys, Gerhard Bales and Robert Henke, and they actually founded Ableton. So basically the most important music creation tool out there. And they were actually doing the music, electronic music production. Then Gerhard gave up working on this musical project. Robert Henke continued to work on this, and Gerhard focused then on building up Ableton.
So when I was listening to this track, I can see what you mean about it feeling like a film, because I had such a vivid image of the juxtaposition of this, how busy Marrakesh is, especially around the Medina, just all that bustle. But then that track in the background is totally like a scene from a movie. So I can see where you're coming from. And then the poetic parallels between Monolake, as you said, being artists and producers, but then also founding music technology business, a very influential one. I think everyone listening has heard of Ableton Live, even if they haven't heard of Monolake, because this was such a pivotal moment, or at least a memorable moment during this time of focus. Do you think you kind of came out of that with any different thinking? Do you think it shaped anything in you, or is it just like a moment in time?
I think it's a moment in time, and it's not something that changed my perception of things, but it's a moment in time that you are saving for all your life. There is an artist called DVS1, one of the most influential techno producers and DJs out there. He once in one of the podcasts described the magic of electronic music events, when he was telling this is such a beautiful and such an amazing moment when the light is perfect, when the sound system is working really well, when the DJ is playing super trippy music, when the barkeepers are working nice and smiling and happy, when it's dark, when the fog machine is full, and this is such a beautiful and special moment. And it's not happening every time. It can happen once in a year or once in your life, or maybe several times in your life. But if you have this moment, you remember this moment, maybe for life, maybe for several years. And this was kind of this moment that I'm coming each time back when I'm listening to this track. So when I have these tracks, I directly have those pictures of Marrakesh Market. So just beautiful moment.
Pure serendipity. I was kind of wondering in my mind, given the background of Monolake, if you were like, you know what, I'm going to go out for a walk and I'm going to listen. I'm going to get inspiration from the founders of Ableton to see if I can get something. But I guess it just was luck or serendipity. It came to you, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to the third and final track. So we have Disruptor by Fraxinus from 2022. I think he's an artist from the UK. Tell us more about this track.
I rediscovered the whole album just recently because I'm preparing for a mix, and I'm kind of trying to find the music that is fitting for this one. It came to my mind because I was sad, and I was a bit disappointed because the whole album, it's 5 tracks, I think. Each single one is just like piece of art, and you feel how much work is put in the whole album or release. I saw there are like just 10-20 people bought this track, and this made me sad, but also remind me, like, again, it's happening several times, maybe in a month, when I just see like this artist is doing such a great work, but people are just not able to find this artist, or they're not seeing how great the artists are. And like I had once a talk with an investor, and he told me he was not coming from electronic music, and he said like, yeah, if the artists are not discovered, then they're doing a shit job, and then they're not deserving to be discovered, kind of. And I was like, I didn't want it to start discussion about this topic. I left the call, and we didn't continue exchange. But this is, I think, like a perspective from people who are coming not from the industry, seeing electronic music industry and thinking like, if you are not discovered, then you're not deserving to be discovered, or you're not doing a great job. And this album is like the best example for me, when artists are doing like such a great jobs, but they're really struggling to be found, to be heard, to get the money, to get the appreciation for their work. And it motivates me even more to do like what we are doing, and to work even harder.
I think it's a fallacy to believe that the music industry is like a meritocracy, that the best tracks are the ones that are the most popular, and if they don't succeed, then they suck, right? I think that's kind of a false perception that people have. And listening to this, it kind of got me thinking about labels as well. So I think we've kind of talked a lot about artists and DJs, but the third kind of piece of that triangle are the labels, and especially in electronic music, labels can have like a big draw, like you were talking about, genre or city. Sometimes like, hey, I just like everything that comes out of this label. Can you tell us a bit more about how that would play into your platform?
Yeah, so a label is definitely a big and important part of the whole construction, because the role of the labels, first, it's taste creators, because label owners and label curators, they are music lovers, and like if you listen to some specific label, you directly can understand what this label about, what is the taste of the label, like what they're trying to achieve. There are labels that focus on mainstream music. There are labels that focusing on specific genres, or labels who are trying to push creators from specific regions or specific cities. And this is super important work. So it's basically what we are trying to do with Exibeat, but on the smaller scale. In this case, we just need to give the labels the tools that helping them to discover new talents, because this is the community part of what we are trying to achieve, to create this collaboration, create this interaction, connections between different user groups, and helping them to be discovered, help to discover others, and help to succeed, like using the different promotional tools and so on. From this perspective, is kind of Exibeat on the small scale.
So I guess to that point, how much is Exibeat kind of a curation platform? What level is like your taste involved in this? Is it a pure, hey, anyone can just upload stuff and people can discover it, or is there some layer of curation to this?
I mean, curation happens, it starts on the genres, based on the genres. This is first layer of curation, to create a space where everyone is getting equal opportunities. This is the most important step in terms of creation, so that it's not getting to the platform where having more money helps you to get bigger reach. And this is the curational part. Like, you can do a lot of things wrong when you're starting a platform. Like with go-to-market, you can do also a lot of things wrong, and getting the wrong people on the platform, and that people can abuse the platform. And this is the curational part of the things from my perspective. I don't want to be Beatport 2.0 with creating all this 50 best charts and 100 best charts and so on. If you're going to curate, then trying to push those who deserve it the most because they're struggling the most.
Because I don't think there is a right answer, especially when you're trying to improve access and trying to get lots of people in and improve discoverability. There are kind of mechanisms that help to do that and to accelerate that. But at the same time, those same mechanisms can be the things that either create bad quality and lots of volume, or, are favorable to, particular artists. So yeah, it's a very tough challenge to solve. So yeah, hats off for trying to solve it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Boris. It's been really great chatting with you. For anyone who wants to find out more about Exibeat or even sign up, where can they go?
Thank you for this opportunity. It made a lot of fun to share my thoughts and telling more what we are doing. People can find us online, so they can sign up on exhibit.co, or they can find me on Instagram. Ozblog is my artist name. They can approach me on LinkedIn, Boris Parasochka. I'm happy to talk. I'm happy to work together with labels, artists. So if you think there is a way we can collaborate together, or if you want to support us on our journey, I'm always open to talk, receive feedback. If you have some critics or other thoughts, happy to talk.
Thank you, Boris. It's been great to have you. And thanks again for the time.
Yeah, thank you for this opportunity.